Welcome back. Chief Studios, NFL Studios. My name is Taylor Bell. I want to thank everybody for joining us here today. We have a good weekend of football. My God, was that fun. Now, we're going to cover the Chiefs game, but we're also going to cover a lot of the other games that were played. A bunch of storylines here that we can get into. Not every single game, but I'm going to get into a couple of games here. Now, pardon me. Had a mint, got to freshen up. So, last night. I want to get into last night's game, right? Let me turn this volume up. There we go. I think everybody can hear me okay here. Last night's game, much anticipated. Hang on, let me make sure. Okay, we're good. Last night's game, much anticipated game, return of Aaron Rodgers. So, I wouldn't say a big Aaron Rodgers fan, but I love watching him play. I love phenomenal quarterback play. I always wanted to be a quarterback. Never was. Never had a strong arm. When I played high school football and YMCA football, I was a linebacker and a right tackle. So far from a quarterback. But I've always wanted to be a quarterback. So I love quarterback play. Aaron Rodgers, I would say, check this out. There's probably 5 quarterbacks, and the list has shrunken, has gotten smaller as time goes on. There's probably 5 quarterbacks I'll catch every single game. Just to give you a few, obviously Mahomes is number 1, but in no particular order after that. Aaron Rodgers, I used to say Russell Wilson when he still had game. Just guys that can really throw the ball. A beautiful ball. Aaron Rodgers, last night's game was frustrating if you are a Jets fan. If you're a 49ers fan, however, you were loving last night's game. So Aaron Rodgers, they came out. The frustrating thing for the Jets is they came right out of the gate, and I think they scored, was it on their first or second possession? I mean, went right down the field. Looked good. Aaron Rodgers throwing beautiful passes. You could tell he's not really wanting to scramble. Obviously, with that torn Achilles last year at the first couple snaps of last year, threw the ball great. I mean, you can tell he still got it. And I believe he just turned 40, so we're right around the same age. And I don't even play football, and it's hard for me to get up and out of bed some days. So I do not know. These guys are superhuman, but you could tell. Look, he was getting the ball out early. As I mentioned, went right down the field, looked pretty good, but that's when the Brock Purdy show begun. So San Francisco, they're just a better team, right? They have so many weapons, and they were missing Christian McCaffrey last night, but we'll get into that in a minute. God, it's what's that saying? 1,000 cuts. I'm screwing it up. Never mind. They have so many freaking weapons on this. San Francisco got to be in the top 3 or 4 best teams in the league. Brock Purdy put on a show last night. Now, I've been a skeptic of Brock Purdy. Very last pick. Mr. Irrelevant, as they say, the very last pick in the NFL draft. And he's having to prove himself, right? He's probably going to have to do this for the rest of his career. God, he looked good. Look, he may not have the strongest arm, right? He may not be, obviously, the fastest when it comes to scrambling. He's certainly not the biggest. But what he does do is up here. Where he is elite is up here. So when Kyle Shanahan essentially taught him how to play quarterback, not that he didn't know, but Kyle Shanahan is a QB mentor, right? Brock Purdy knows exactly where to throw the ball and at what time. He was throwing guys open last night. And there were guys wide open as well. So it's not like he just dissected. He did dissect the Jets defense, but Jets got some issues on defense. Obviously missing Hassan Reddick. Hopefully they get him back. Look, Jets aren't going to make. They'll be borderline playoff team. 49ers definitely could go to the NFC Championship and possibly the Super Bowl again. So, man, they look good. Now, running back. Let me show you. Christian McCaffrey was out, right? Which was a surprise to me. But look at this backup, Jordan Mason. Look what he did. They ran all over this Jets defense. Let me share the screen and let me just show you his stat line real quick. Check this out. Look at this. Jordan Mason right down here. So this is essentially Christian McCaffrey's backup. 28 carries, 147 yards, 5.2 yards per carry, and got a touchdown. They were handing him the ball over and over and over, which in turn sets up the play action pass. And that's where Brock Purdy picked the Jets defense apart. So Jets have a long way to go. Aaron Rodgers, I mean, he looked okay. He's certainly not their biggest issue. I think, again, they'll be borderline playoff team. San Francisco looks damn good. Damn good. Now, getting into another good team, and I hate to say this, guys. God damn it, I hate to say this. Cowboys look good. Lord have mercy. Cowboys look good. I know. Now, we all know, probably going to look good in the regular season. Probably going to make the playoffs. And they're probably going to lose in the second round, like they do every year. So right before the game broke, I think it was like 10 a.m. on Sunday. 10 a.m. on Sunday, right before the game started. Press release comes out. Dak Prescott signs a new contract. Holy shit. $240 million. Now, I think most of it is guaranteed. I think 230 out of 240 is guaranteed, but as long as his play doesn't drop off a cliff in the next few years, he'll see all of that 240. In fact, he'll probably see another big contract. Look, whether you think he's good, whether you think he's average, above average, or whether you think he sucks, it's just a matter of time. With this quarterback pay, one uplifts the other, one leapfrogs the other. Whoever's next up that's halfway decent is going to get another record-setting deal. So, I mean, okay, he has the Cowboys by the balls, right? Because what else are they going to do, right? They could have him play out the season on his last year of the contract this season. But what are you going to do next season, right? I mean, you would have to draft somebody, or you would have to go out in free agency and sign somebody, but no good quarterback hits free agency. It just rarely happens. So it just is what it is. Look, Cowboys can afford it. Obviously, they're the most valuable franchise in the world. They're raking in the money, so it is what it is. He was next up, and he got paid, right? So Dallas looks really, really good. Again, I hate to say that. Not a big Cowboys fan. I love to see them bite the dust, basically. So defense looked good for Dallas. Offense looked good. Dak was throwing the ball, and that's another thing too. If you go into the psyche of and of course Jerry Jones had to steal the news of the day by leaking that news right before the game started. It puts a player at ease, right? So if you're going into a season knowing it's your last year of the deal, you may be trying to push the ball down the field more. You may be trying to get a few extra stats per game. Maybe doing a few extra things you're not typically used to doing just because you're trying to make the big splash, trying to have your name on the leaderboard when it comes to passing yards, touchdowns, statistics, basically, so you can inflate that number going in to your next contract negotiation. But I think it was important, just mentally, right, emotionally, for Dak or any player, right, to get sign a new deal, have it locked and loaded, signed, sealed, and delivered, so you don't have to worry about that. It's not on your mind throughout the season. So he played great, and you could tell he was very at ease. And look, all Cowboy hate aside, if I'm taking all bias out, right, he's a decent QB. Now, I wouldn't select him for my team right now. Obviously, if you had all the quarterbacks lined up, and me and a couple of you guys were picking quarterbacks for their team, Dak would probably go in between 10 and 15, somewhere in there, right? 10 and 12 maybe. So it gives you a good idea of kind of where he's at. Look, what are his positives? Well, he's consistent. He's a leader. He's a grown-up. He throws a decent ball. His football IQ is pretty high. So you know what you're getting. He's very consistent, right? He doesn't have these breakout games, and then next game he throws a bunch of picks. I mean, look, it has happened, but he doesn't play inconsistently, if that makes sense. You know what you're getting, right? When you get Dak. So is he good enough to win a Super Bowl? Possibly, right? You would need a lot of help. Now, good thing for Cowboys fans is it looks like you have help this year. Now, they have had help in the past, and again, they'll probably fizzle out in the second round of the playoffs, but I believe you do have a chance to win with Dak. So, and that's what and if you're in Jerry Jones's shoes, that's what it's all about, right? Excuse me. Now, going on the other side of the ball, so let me get back to the game. The Cowboys played the Browns, and Deshaun Watson, who we were all wanting, I know I was, waiting to see what he would look like, right? So a lot of people, if you don't, well, I guess you won't know, but give me 1 second. The pollen count here is insane today. Give me just 1 second. Whew. It's bad here today. So I watched a lot of Deshaun Watson. Now, not in college, when he was in Houston. So there's a big misconception about his stats. I'm in San Antonio now, right? But I went to college. I went to the college at U of H, University of Houston, and watched Deshaun Watson a lot, right? When he played for the Texans. Now, his statistics, if you go back and look at his statistics, they are misleading, because a lot of his stats in a Houston Texans uniform was basically at end of games when you're in a hurry up offense with 5, 6, 7 minutes left and you're getting blown out by 20, 14, 20, 25 points. A lot of games for Houston, right? And the defense is kind of, letting everything go underneath them. They're not giving up any big plays. So Deshaun Watson would have average games, and then he would rack up his stats at the end of the game. I cannot tell you. It wasn't every game, but it seemed like almost every game. So if you don't watch these games, and if you're not, and who watches Texans games, right? If you're not living in Houston, you don't give a damn about the Texans. They're still that way. So that's how I knew when this big fiasco went down with Houston, when he didn't want to play, I knew that when Cleveland was getting involved and they offered him this big deal, I knew it was going to be a mistake right off the bat. He's not the guy. He's just not. I knew it in Houston. It's pretty clear. If you're a Houston Texans fan, which I'm sure there's maybe one or two watching, it was pretty clear he's Sure, he had flashes, and there were times he looked great. But all in all, if I take his every play that I watched in a Texans uniform, I would say, see what else is out there, right? Which is not easy to do, but he just wasn't the guy. Like, that's just it. I'd rather have Dak. Well, it's obvious now. I'd rather have Dak than Deshaun. I'd rather have a lot of guys than Deshaun, right? And then comes his off the field stuff. And we all know what happened. I don't have to get into it. But he played horrible yesterday. Absolutely horrible. Looked like a Division II college football player out there stuck in a NFL uniform. Didn't know where to go with the ball. Had to cut like literally 2-3 good passes out of, I don't know. Let's go pull up his stats. I got him right here. Okay, 24 of 45. Check this out. 24 45, 169 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 INTs. He looked bad. He looked really, really bad. And we were all waiting to see, look, he put all that stuff behind him and just 100% focused on football moving forward. Well, after the game, and the Cowboys blew out the Browns. After the game, well, now it makes sense. I see why he had a bad game. He was accused again from another female of doing inappropriate things to her, right? I'm sure you can guess what it was. So he had this allegation that broke after the game. So Deshaun knew that this was going to get out to the public. I'm sure his lawyers, his agent, have been in contact with the legal department, with her legal team, the accuser, and they knew this was coming out. So that's why he played so bad, right? In my opinion. He knew this was coming. His mind wasn't fully focused on football. Now, the Browns are screwed. The Browns owe him $173 million. He signed a $230 million contract. I think it was fully guaranteed, no? With the Browns a couple years ago. He's owed $173. He's unmovable. He's untradeable. And he's basically unplayable. If I'm the coach, here's what I'm doing. I'm sitting Deshaun and say, take care of what you need to take care of. We want you focused 100% on football. And I'm throwing Jameis in there. Look, Jameis is wildly inconsistent, but wildly entertaining. I watched quite a few of his New Orleans games, and I'm throwing Jameis in there. Screw it. Hey, you can't get any worse than Deshaun Watson. So what do you have to lose? Throw him in there. Let's see what you got. So we'll have to see how this plays out. I don't know. He did settle. Deshaun Watson settled with 23, 24 accusers. It's hard to even imagine I'm saying that number, but sounds like dude's got an issue. Look, I don't know what happened. Was not there, so I'm going to withhold judgment, but it's just not a good look, I think is what I'm trying to say. Not a good look at all. Nobody. I'll leave that alone. I will leave that alone. All right. Now, another game that I watched. Bears-Titans. My. Caleb got bailed out by the defense. So, I said on record, I think Caleb's going to be good, right? I think he's going to be above average. I think he's going to fall a little bit better, like in 3, 4, 5 years. I think Caleb will be better than Dak Prescott. So if that gives you any idea of where you think I place him in the future, somewhere, if I said Dak was 10 to 12, 10 to 15, top QB, I'll put Caleb at like probably 8 to 12, right? He's not, I don't think he's going to be the best. If you can make it in the top 10 best quarterbacks in the world, you can win a championship, right? Especially with the defense Chicago has. They look really good. They bailed him out, got a turnover or two, scored a touchdown or two, and just bailed him out. He did not have a good game. He struggled. He was 14 of 29, 93 yards, no touchdowns. There were times where he was scrambling for his life, didn't know where to go with the ball. And it was almost night and day from, I remember watching his preseason game. Was it the 2 that I think he played in 2? He did not play in the Hall of Fame game. He looked pretty good. I mean, he had some throws he had that were jaw dropping, right? I think I've said that in the past, that I was like, whoa, where'd that come from? Completely different story. Now, so what's the difference? Well, playing against second and third string guys in the preseason, and when it's time to go week 1, it's the real deal. So look, he's going to be fine. I think he was nervous. I would be nervous. And it was the real deal. So now you go back, look at the tape. Now, the Bears did win, so you did get a win. But I think he'll be fine. Look, it's not common. Patrick Mahomes took this league by storm, and he was balling out the gate, right? Very first game he started, week 17. Was it 16 or 17 back then? Versus Denver, right? His rookie season started the very last game. He balled out on Denver, right? And beat Denver in Colorado. So very few players can do that. He's one of a kind. But that doesn't mean if you don't play like him, you can't have a successful career. And if you don't play like Mahomes, you can't win a championship. Those are not true. I think Caleb will be good. Again, he will be good. So we'll definitely keep an eye on him. Watch his progression, right? So that's what I love about quarterback play in the NFL. He'll grow. He'll mature. He's a smart kid. He's got a high IQ. He's a hard worker. And he'll be a good quarterback. So I can't wait to see what happens in week 2. Now, for our last topic. Pardon me. Baker Mayfield. Wow. If you have not seen the Washington Bucks and Tampa Bay game, go back, do yourself a favor. I promise you. Thank me later. Do yourself a favor. Go back, watch the replay, whether it's a condensed replay, something. If you have all 22, go back and watch it and thank me later. That was a thing of beauty Baker Mayfield put together on Sunday. I honestly was watching because I wanted to see how Jaden Daniels was going to do. I thought he was going to have a lot better game. And again, it's the first week. Like, what do you expect? And I think we expect too much out of these rookie QBs. I know I do. And Sunday was a perfect example of that, right? A lot of rookies struggled. But again, nobody plays in the preseason, so what do you expect, right? So you got to treat the first 1, 2, 3 weeks of the NFL season as a steep learning curve, right? But let's get back to Baker. So I watched the Washington game to see how Jaden Daniels was going to do, and wow, Baker Mayfield stole the show. He gets the game ball, Baker Mayfield, out of every player in the NFL in week 1. Baker Mayfield. He was throwing dimes. He was dropping dimes like freaking Dan Marino out there. He looked better than Patrick Mahomes. And it wasn't just dropping dimes. He was leading players open. He was putting them in tight spots. His play action, oh God, man, he was on point. He was making those linebackers bite and then making the defense pay by throwing darts. Every pass looked like a flashback to John Elway. I mean, it was, whoa, where did this come from? So Baker goes 24 for 30, 24 of 30. So he threw 30 passes, and those 6 that were incomplete were not his fault. A lot of those were drop passes or batted down pass. 24 for 30, 289 yards, 4 TDs. 4. Absolutely insane. In fact, I was so impressed. I think I'm going to go back and watch that game again this afternoon. I'm not even lying. It was a thing of beauty. And look, I'm not a big Baker Mayfield fan, but to watch a game like that where you dissect the defense, he was audibling at the line. It was just a thing of beauty. And I'm not a Bucs fan. I'm not a Baker fan. But that was fun to watch. So my game ball goes to Baker. Congratulations to you and the Bucs. Jaden Daniels, I think he's going to be fine. But again, he has a high football IQ. He's pretty smart. I am a fan of Cliff Kingsbury's offense. I know I may be on an island, but it does work, right? It does work. So, and it takes time. These are rookie QBs. Again, we can't expect them to come out the gates and just ball out of control, right? It takes time. So, we watch week 2, and we see you again next week on a Monday or probably a Tuesday and discuss week 2 of the NFL. So, I do appreciate the time. I got to run. I have another podcast obligation I need to get to. So I do thank you. Please be safe. Thank you for watching. And I'll see you on the next one.